Hi, and thanks for watching another instructional video for CSEI 1300. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at our truck class again, and in this video, we're going to be particularly looking at how to take our HPP file and use that in our implementation file. So how do we move from our H file to our implementation CPP easily? Well, the first thing to note is that the simplest way to do so would be to copy and paste your public section with all of your functions related to the class, and then paste that into your implementation file to keep the ordering you have here in your public section. So if we take a look at the implementation file, first thing I'm going to note is that I am using #include for my class.h file. I'm using IOStream because I'm probably going to be printing some information with one or more functions. I have #include string because I'm working with string information, and I'm also using namespace SED. So let's look at the constructors first. First, we have our default constructor. So we take all 6 of our private variables, the 3 strings for the make, model, and color, and what I've done here is set them to the base value of there is nothing there, or none. So I'm intentionally setting some kind of a string here that says this is the default value here. We haven't actually added anything into this object. It's just blank. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to finish my parameterized constructor. So I'm taking the same 6 private variables, and this time what I'm doing with this constructor is I'm giving specific names for the incoming user-defined information that we will use to update the private variables that are associated with the class object. We can see here that I've named everything new underscore the private variable name. So if I have a make, I have new underscore make, and the private variable will equal that new incoming information. So we've gone through and assigned user-defined input here if we decide to call this function. Notice that the parameterized constructor is basically an overloaded set function. So it's setting all of the variables all at once. Instead of calling each one of the set functions and passing something individually, we can call the parameterized constructor and set everything in bulk. Okay, so let's move on to looking at our getter functions. So in our accessor functions, or our getter functions, we've got a data type, the class : and then the name of the function. The only thing we're doing here is returning the variable that is private, that's associated with that data type and that particular name with that function. So here we've got a model, which is a private variable. We've got a getModel function, which returns a string, which is what model is stored as. And we do the same thing for make, color, year, gas, and mileage. And they'll all have the same format because gas is a private integer. We're going to return that integer using a function. So moving on to the set functions here, each one of these is going to be void, followed by class : then the name of the set function related to that variable, and then we pass in some user-defined input to update or assign information to that private variable. So the new make is something that the user would define in the driver or something, call this function, and then update the make here with that new information. We're not returning anything because all we have to do is just access the variable in the truck class and update the private variable with the user-defined input. So that's all for our implementation file. We're now correctly linking it to our H file, and we have everything related to our public section listed and implemented here in this file. Stay tuned for more as we look into the driver in the next video. That's all for now. Thanks, and happy coding!